Hello, everyone. I'm Governor John Carney. Thank you for joining us today as we proclaim January 2022 Human Relations Awareness Month. We have the director of the Division of Human Relations with us today, Ramona Fullman. Ramona is an old friend of mine. We appreciate her good work. We're going to hear from her in a minute. We also have Gail Tarlecki, who's the chair of the Human Relations Commission. The work of the division, we also have Marty Rendon and Doris Cooper, who are members of the commission. We appreciate their good work as members and for being with us today. As I think about the work of the commission, I'm not sure that it's ever been more important than it is today with the divisions that we have here in our state and across the country. The divisions, I think, that have been made clear by the Black Lives Matter protests of last year, by the challenges of the pandemic, by the events of January 6th. And, just the divisions that we've seen in our political environment, which are making the work of the commission more important than ever. We also have Diaz Bonville, who's with us today, a member of the commission, also an important staff member for Congresswoman Lisa Blunt to Rochester. Thank you for your presence as well. As you think about our country formed under the motto E pluribus unum, out of many, one, out of 13 colonies, one country. Today, more than ever, we struggle to look for that ideal of one nation, and the work of the Human Relations Commission is centered really on that concept in making sure that every one of our populations, and we are both a nation of indigenous peoples. We are a nation, the descendants of African slaves brought to the U.S. for a couple centuries. We're a nation of immigrants since then. And so those differences in one way define the diversity of our country and the great strengths of our country, but also the challenges that we face in bringing us together as one nation, e pluribus unum, if you will. And so the commission's role fundamentally is to do that, and they have a very challenging job, particularly in the context of some of the challenges that we've seen in our state and our country over the last several years. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Ramona Fullman, who's the director of the Division of Human Relations, for some remarks, and then we'll move to Gail as chair of the commission itself. Thank you both.
Thank you, Governor Carney, and thank you for this event today and your time. The mission of the State Human Relations Commission is to eradicate unlawful discrimination and foster amicable relationships among various racial and cultural groups. When the federal government passed civil rights laws to eradicate the remnants of Jim Crow policies and practices that legalized second-class citizenship for African Americans, Delaware passed similar laws, including the Equal Accommodations and Fair Housing laws. The State Human Relations Commission and the Division of Human Relations have enforcement responsibilities for those two laws. Members of the public who feel that they've been discriminated against in housing or a place of public accommodation because of their membership in a protected class may file a complaint online or by calling our offices at any time. That's day or night. In addition to enforcing laws protecting Delawareans against unlawful discrimination, the commission is charged to promote amicable relationships among various racial and cultural groups in Delaware. For the commission, that has meant leading in the efforts to face the historical and contemporary effects of racism. In the performance of our enforcement responsibilities, we are continuously reminded of the hurt, harm, and trauma of discrimination, racism, and hate. We have come to understand that those who do not suffer the indignity of racism and discrimination may not believe it happens here in Delaware, but we know that it does. Human Relations Awareness Month provides a framework for the Commission to address issues that currently separate us by those who want to focus on differences and not on our commonality and shared humanity. This week, we hosted 3 community events. On Monday, we honored the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his work to build a beloved community where all would prosper and thrive. On Tuesday, we once again put Delaware on the National Day of Racial Healing's nationwide map of events with a community gathering to discuss how Delawareans can work together towards healing the wounds of racism and discrimination. Our final event this week for Human Relations Awareness Month was another of our series of courageous conversations, community events that invite Delawareans from various racial and cultural groups to share their histories and lived experiences. In our hyper-segregated communities, these conversations bring people together who might not ever meet otherwise. Courageous conversations to date have included members of the AAPI community and the Native American and Mexican American community. We are looking forward to planning a number of events throughout the year, and we welcome the public to participate in them. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the chair of the State Human Relations Commission, Gail Lene Tarlek.
Thank you, Ramona, and thank you, Governor Carney, for having us here today. Thank you for acknowledging that January is Human Relations Awareness Month, not just in Delaware, but across the nation. And I want to say that I've been privileged by the Office of the Governor to be able to serve on the Human Relations Commission since 1996. That's quite a time when I think about it, and most recently as chair, which truly is an honor. And the vestiges of past discriminatory, oppressive, and segregationist laws, policies, and practices continue to haunt not only Delaware, but the entire nation. I like to say that we've experienced 2 pandemics, one COVID-19 and the other discrimination. We've made progress thanks to the courageous insistence of those who came before us, but we can't stop now. More than 50 years after Delaware enacted its first anti-discrimination statute, state leaders recognize that discrimination continues to exist in our state. Delawareans continue to suffer fear, hatred, cruelty, harassment, social conflict, and psychological pain because of the way they look, how they worship, where they live, or whom they love. We are all poisoned by the racism, bias, and discrimination that affects any of our people. Over the past 5 years, the Commission has renewed and invigorated its commitment to be leaders in racial healing in Delaware. We put Delaware on the national map as a participant in the annual National Day of Racial Healing. We have held forums that facilitated learning and truth-telling about our protected classes, and we are encouraged by the numbers of individuals and groups that are coming to join us in these courageous conversations. We intend to continue to work toward that end. Our solutions to our current challenges need the support of all Delawareans. Delaware's civil rights laws delineate legal protections, and they describe those that are entitled to the protections. However, expansion of the law, education of the public, and strong enforcement of anti-discrimination laws remains the unfinished business of our state and indeed the nation. The Commission remains steadfastly committed to its mission to eliminate unlawful discrimination in Delaware and turn the suffering, anger, and fear of these days into a more just future for all of our citizens. It is through events such as this that we are participating in today that we will increase awareness about our mission so that others may learn about us and join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gail, and thank you, Ramona, for your remarks. Ramona, you raised the question that so many of us who don't experience the ill effects of racism and discrimination may not be or may think that it doesn't exist. We have legal and regulatory frameworks that prohibit that kind of discrimination, and yet it does persist in our community on so many subgroups that have experienced discrimination and racism in the past and continue to today. So the designating January as Human Relations Awareness Month is so critically important to raise awareness among the broader community that the racism does in fact exist. There are laws that prohibit, laws and a regulatory structure that prohibit it, and that there's a need for the enforcement of those laws. And there's also a need for the change in all of our hearts with the bias that we bring to everyday life. And so it's a privilege as governor to read this proclamation and ultimately designate January as Human Relations Awareness Month. And it reads, whereas all human beings have the right to be treated with dignity, fairness, and equality, and whereas all individuals are entitled to the rights and freedoms set forth in the Constitution of the United States without exceptions of any kind, and whereas we work with the Delaware Human Relations Commission to promote and foster amicable relations among all Delawareans and to enforce laws that protect Delawareans against illegal discrimination in all areas of life. And whereas we join with the Delaware Human Relations Commission, the Division of Human Relations, and all Delawareans in working to build a more just and civil society through the elimination of racism, sexism, discrimination, hate, and injustice. And whereas we promote a culture that values, includes, upholds, and protects the human rights of every person who calls Delaware home. Now, therefore, we, John Carney, Governor, and Bethany Hall, Lieutenant Governor, do hereby declare January 2022 as Human Relations Awareness Month in the state of Delaware, and urge all Delawareans to stand together to promote positive human relations and our commitment to equality for all in our great state. The Lieutenant Governor has already signed it, and so now I have as well. And so January 2022, with all the challenges that we face, is designated as Human Relations Awareness Month in our state. And we thank both the division and staff, and importantly, the commission, Gail, and your other members, Doris and Marty and Diaz, who have joined us today, for your great work.